Hey y'all, just got an email from a kid who's having a hard time with the mechanics of taking Cornell notes. So I thought it would be a good idea to shoot a video in case anybody else was having the same problem. The first thing you need to make sure you're doing is setting up your paper properly. I already have a video on how to set up Cornell notes, so I'm not going to spend a lot of time on that. Just make sure you have the framework in place so you can fill in the blanks. The two things you need to take good Cornell notes are good Cornell note paper and a source of information. This is the text that we're going to use to put into our Cornell note frame. Usually with Cornell notes, you want to put down the information first and then add the study questions. But when you're first learning the process, it's a lot easier if you start with the study questions. So the first one we're going to look at is, how did church doctrine help to unify early Christians? Your study questions need to be short essay. If your question can be answered in a 3 to 5 sentence paragraph, you've got a good question. If it really needs more, you might want to rewrite it. Now, ideally, you would have already read this information and marked the text. I'll do a video on marking the text later on. Do the reading first, then start working on your study questions and taking notes. This section is the section of text that you want to start with. Remember what the question is. How did church doctrine help to unify early Christians? Doctrine means official church teachings. We're not actually going to write a short essay. We're just going to gather information that would help us to write a short essay. And the definition of doctrine, that's a pretty important note. So the key term and the definition would go here in the notes section. You should have already written the question in the margins. Another valuable piece of information that you could put in your notes would be, where did the doctrines come from? And in the first sentence, you see, the bishops decided church doctrine. But what else would be good to put in your notes? And this is where the hierarchy of the church becomes really important. Because remember, the question isn't asking what doctrine is or who sets doctrine. The question is asking, how did doctrine help to unify early Christians? So knowing what doctrine is and who sets doctrine, that's only half the question. In this paragraph, it talks about individual churches being led by priests. It talks about a type of clergy called bishops that oversaw the local diocese. We also learn in this paragraph that the bishops are overseen by archbishops and the role of the patriarchs. All of this is information that you can include in your notes that would help you write a 3 to 5 sentence essay about how church doctrine helped to unify Christians. But what's missing? We know about doctrine, and we have information about the hierarchy of the church that ensured the doctrine was standard across all of Christendom. But how does this unify Christianity? This is where you need to apply some critical thought. Would a standard set of beliefs help the people practicing the faith to feel like they were part of a larger community? Do you feel closer to people that believe the same things that you do, who have the same likes and dislikes, the same hobbies and interests? So in your notes, you might make a note about how having a similar set of beliefs can unify groups of people more generally. Remember, you're not writing complete sentences. You're writing short phrases, keywords and definitions, random thoughts. You're not writing an essay. You're just writing down notes that would help you write an essay about that question. Hopefully this has been helpful. If it hasn't, you can drop a comment or send an email. For more information, check out gatewaymethod.us. And thanks for watching. The first thing you need to make sure you're doing is it'll take twice as long if I try to type it out.
You sure?
I'm starting to wonder.